Pete Johnson, welcome to BBMF. A few things you need to know. Can you put your phones on their flight mode? But you can still use the phone manual, it's take focus still, right? Ask me as many questions you want because I don't know nothing, so I'll have to look in the book. I'll try my best. Okay. When we go in the hangar, we've got trip hazards there. We've also, main thing is don't let one go off, okay, because we get groups every half hour, we get another group, and sometimes we got mixed up, you see, you go, who's the other group? And we get in the next one. So it's only one to look after, you see. So anyway, so we have to do that. So we've got trip hazards here, also we've got a fire alarm, okay. We'll make back through that, and you'll be chasing me because you're a bit like a show. Now the reason why we can't have our phones on here is because and the aircraft itself are using fuel, using petrol fuel, okay, rather than that stuff. So the Spitfires Hurricanes use petrol, and that uses aviation turbine fuel after, okay, and that's like a paraffin. Yeah, but please don't walk off flying. You'll be seeing a few RF technicians in there. Please don't speak to them, okay? It's not anti-social, but they could be doing a piece of work on the actual aircraft, okay? And we don't sort of be disrupted because it could be something like, if they chat to you for it, they usually do, but it depends what they're doing, okay? Right, just like you're going to stand aside. Anyway, right, okay, this is the BBMF hangar, okay, now the aircraft, we've got 3 aircraft here, the original founders of the BBMF, and it was called at the time, it was called the Historic Flight in 1957. So we've got that aircraft here, the actual Hurricane, and those 2 Spitfires left hand side, they were actually founders of the actual, of the 5 aircraft, they were 3 founders. So we're very fortunate. That was in 1957. So it was a historic flight at Biggin Hill. Then it became the Battle of Britain flights about probably about 8 months later. Then about 5 or 6 years later, it became the Battle of Britain Manila flight. As it is now, okay. So we've actually got 12 aircraft here. We've got 6 Hurricanes. We've got 6 Spitfires, 2 Hurricanes, 2 Chipmunks, and of course the Lancaster and the Dakota as well. Unfortunately, the Dakota at the moment is down at Duxford, it's having some work done at. Each aircraft, it actually donates a squadron or the actual person, special person through that. So, but except for the odd one out there is the actual is the Lancaster, because that donates 2 squadrons. It's a big aircraft, so we could go on each side. So we'll take only 2 seconds here.
The films.
Something here, huh? Good. Don't drop it. Right, the top valve, okay.
Oh, sorry.
This machine gun up here, that's what's actually fires those bullets away. They actually fire over 1,000 rounds a minute. Okay. So when you're battling with the aircraft, if you went and see the battle written films or anything, you see the chap that hold the fire button down, and it's hold down for 8, okay. With the leads are up, you've got 8 guns in aircraft, so you have 8 leads in an aircraft. For a 2-second burst, you actually use over 300 rounds on these. So that's bless your friends. Going back. I lost 6 last week. So that's a 303 caliber, and the second one is a 50 caliber. The first one there, okay, don't forget that bit there, that was the actual, that's your bullet, okay, it's tiny, isn't it? Now actually to make them damage on an aircraft, it didn't make much damage, so what they did is, they put 8 guns in, sorry, 4 guns on each side of the aircraft, and the section like that, so we met it together, 8 bullets met it together, about 500 yards out, you could adjust that. 500 yards out, then every 8 bullets out rather than that's what we do. You can see how much bigger it is. How much bigger it is? So, what they're going to do is they're going to get the most dimension. So you're going to see it now. So, the idea was this carousel, okay, what was happening? We'd actually take the shell out and the projectiles up, take it around, search the slot down into the fire. Now these are armor-piercing shells or explode yourself, okay. So the beauty about this, okay, it never got as hot as that. So this could fire, these bullets, they could fire 650 of these a minute without getting too hot. The only drawback with these, with it being so big, they could put the wings of a Spitfire in America. First time they tried it, of course there's a big lump on the Spitfire itself to do it. Well, they had it on the side, and what's happening every 3 or 4 times they use this projectile. What happened? It was stuck. So the pilots landed say, get rid of it, we'll use this back again, because they could fire what, 300 or whatever straight away, no, without blocking. In the end, they decided that should put them in the Spitfire again, but you'll see the lumps. They had to put lumps in the Spitfire top. They won't beside me. On this side is a German one. It's a Moser. It was fitted to the Fokkers. Yeah, Fokker aircraft, and also the Messerschmitts. And this one here, you can see that trigger on it. So that's your German. I said that one used to be self-load, that one. This one here, you press it, press it again, press it again, to actually make it work. So you had 2 of these on the actual on the Messerschmitts flying through the blades. Now the French thought, oh, that's a great idea, we'll fly through the base. But instead of having connected to the gears, so we'll fly through the actual blade. Okay, they decided to put deflection plates on the actual on the propeller itself. Okay, so you couldn't believe this. What's happening? The fire was going straight back at pilots. So they said, we better stop doing that. So they stopped doing that. So until they worked out how to actually fire through the propellers, which is very fun. They're amazing bits. Okay. Any questions on the guns? Okay. Let's move up a bit, shall we? See, should we do that? These here, these lovely bits of kit here, okay, they're actually with field tires. So we can have a kit. So if you can't find us one of these, now these actually, these days, health and safety, you know, I used to be on the red arrows, okay, and the height of the wing we've got at that, we still have one underneath the wings in case we fall off. So you could have a pint of Guinness before you went on the aircraft. You had to be so careful. They did the job, okay. But they're so heavy, if you saw it. So down here is this photograph here is a Dakota. So that's the one at the moment. It's down at Duxford, getting a new paint job on it because we're going to make it into a different squadron. We're going to make on D-Day colours on this one, so it'll be one that actually flew over D-Day. It did pick someone that flew over D-Day. Oh, there's one other thing I forgot to mention, folks. The main thing is, please don't wander off, alright? Please don't wander off. We've had people wander off and we thought we had to stop the tour and try and find them. Okay?
Count them out and count them all back.
Absolutely, yeah. Remember that was a great thing. That was good. Right. Hawker Hurricane here, and it was actually designed by a chap called Sidney Campbell, who went on to design the Hawker Hunter and the actual Harrier as well. Great. Now what he did actually, he was used to building these aircraft. Not that one. If you have a look at the aircraft itself, there's loads of what they call a dragon aircraft, okay? The wheels will drag.
Is it coming in?
And the wing itself, the top wing, that was all drag, you see? Okay. So what Sidney Campbell decided to do, he said, right, I'll take the top wing off and have the carriage, retracted the carriage. So that's what he did. And that was the finished model underneath. The Hurricane was the first aircraft ever to fly over 300 miles an hour and have retractable undercarriage, which was great. But it was made in the same fashion as this. So from the cockpit down, it's just like that. You've got struts and down the side, you can see that down here. And wrapped round it is Irish linen. And what they do, well, that's what probably remember the actual Vauxhall model aircraft. They used to actually put some tissue paper and put some dope. Now these poor masters that did the job. Nail polish. Okay, nail polish, you know what it smells like?
Yeah.
Not that I used it this week. It doesn't suit, I can't find it suit anyway. Nail polish, alright, so the smell from that, the lasses were working overnight, they're working overnight to do these aircraft, put this on it. Next morning they're completely out of their minds, you know. They didn't need cannabis in them days. Using that stuff or something in the morning or something going about. I'll see you later, Gina. I'll see you. Yeah. Are you alright? I'm just home. So they were like that, you see. And this aircraft here, you can see on the side here, it's got that's actually on the side there. It's actually belonged to the 303 squadron, Polish squadron. Okay. There was actually over 14,000 of these aircraft built, and it was the warhorse of the Second World War. In fact, when Sidney Campbell actually he designed it, he says, "I'll get an aircraft here. It's built for fighting." This was it. It scored more victories than the Spitfire. it took more damage because what's happened, see those little bullets we've shown you before? One of them, it goes straight through there, straight out the other side. You hit a metal one, this metal here, if you hit these things, it's going to damage, isn't it? Of course then it starts, air damage in the aircraft, it starts problems, you see, and that one just went straight through. So they didn't have a catch on the side, by the way. Nobody catch them. But that's what they did. So anyway, this belonged to the 303 Squadron, Polish Squadron. Quite an amazing story about the Polish Squadron because the Polish pilots they got from Trouble 1 Squadron, 112 Squadron from Poland, they were actually all qualified pilots or experienced pilots, actually fought in the Poland when Germany decided to invade Poland. They were there fighting against the Germans, against Luftwaffe. Great pilots, okay, but unfortunately none of them could speak English and none of our pilots could speak Polish. So it was a bit of a nose. So they found actually somebody that could actually, and Poland could speak fluent French, and one of the RAF lads could speak fluent French, and that's how they spoke to each other. So the first actually sortie that 303 went on, they were told you've got to stick together. In French and what you've got to stick together. And to say goodbye to 100 million pounds of aircraft. £8,000, 100 million. £8,000, 100 million. Just shows you. Anyway, sorry, I digress.
Yeah, but what was £8,000 worth in those days, see?
Yeah.
That's right, exactly. Yeah. So so they said, right, what are you doing not to break formation? So this Polish, it's all right. Hard you are. Yeah, great stuff. Yeah. So say that you saw the German formation, the aircraft bombers coming towards them. So one of the actual Polish pilots dragged away, shouldn't have done it. He just broke off and he shot them down. So when they landed, it got really rollicking. And they thought, hang on, just a minute. It's the first German aircraft 303 Squadron shot down. So they give him a rollick and said, oh, fantastic, thanks for that, we'll take it for being the mess. So, crazy, that's what it's a true story. Now the chap who joined us, his name was actually Johnny Kent. Because you joined a Polish Squadron, they called him Johnny Kentowski, which is a great name, isn't it? Johnny Kentowski. That red bit on the bit there was unusual at the end there, and it was to donate, it was a Polish Squadron. And apart from that, so when you actually flying towards it, you could see what it was. So 303 Squadron became, the Polish pilots and English pilots became 303 Squadron, and they shot more aircraft down. 40. Actually, the Lancasters coming. So anyway, the I forget where I was now. The 303 Squadron shot down more aircraft in 42 days in the Battle of Britain. They only went for 42 days. They shot down 126 aircraft. The actual station commander of Norfolk at the time wouldn't believe it. His name was Stanley Vincent. So he wouldn't believe him, and he asked his intelligence officer to have a look through all the documents. And they said, look, we can't find anything wrong with it. I said, I don't believe it. So he decided to actually fly behind them. So 303 Squadron took off, and he his own aircraft was back and took off to see if they really doing it. We saw this German formation coming, and what they did, the Polish pilots, just two of them peeled off, right? And you see, where they go? Next one was straight there, straight amongst all the German bombers. Of course, they were scattered because of what was going on. They did nothing else before. And of course, the rest of the Polish Squadron went and started shooting them down. So Stanley Vincent, the station commander, thought, I'll have to go at this. So he gets set up to actually shoot one of these German aircraft down. Polish aircraft went straight behind them and shot them down. They got set away about 4 or 5 times yourself went off. And they went back and said, they are doing it, so they got these were doing it. So it's set right up. So it's just short, so This was the original aircraft that actually started the Britain Road flight. It's still flying. Okay. Any questions on the... Mighty Spitfire, eh?
No, they're nice and great.
This aircraft's got quite a checkered life. It's done it as a Spitfire Mark 1 with a manual engine, the same as actual, it's the same engine as in Hurricane. You look, it's all metal, it's stress metal. That up there, is where they actually put the cannon. They could have put the cannon before because not only that, with the wings being a lot thinner than the actual the Hurricane, it could fly a lot faster. So this would be faster. This belonged to, on the side there, it's a Kiwi. So, any idea about that? Kiwi on the side? New Zealander. His name was Aldeer. And he was a cutter, Aldeer. He named it Kiwi. Not Kiwi 1 or Kiwi 2, it's a Kiwi. And it was actually flying over Dunkirk. His aircraft was shot up. That was the aircraft, he had to crash land it. So he managed to get out in one piece. He got back to the UK again, and he got number 2, Kiwi number 2. So he flew that, and for a while, and yeah, he went to one day and he couldn't fly the next day, so one of the colleagues flew it. Took off and crashed it, didn't it? He got shot down. So that was then the Kiwi 2. So he got Kiwi 3. So Kiwi 3 was quite lucky, Kiwi 3. In the meantime, he'd already smashed onto a Spitfire. Crashed the Spitfire, and he'd actually got it out, right? And he smashed his Messerschmitt as well, and he got to that one thereabouts twice. It was okay on that. But he carried on flying. This chap right here, and anyway, so he got number 3, okay, and he took up to Catterick. He crash landed that because he couldn't get his wheels down. So he fixed it within 3 weeks. He went back down to Hornchurch, and he took up on one. That's what was taken off. The German bomber from over the side, dropped the bomb, and broke in front of him. So he turned the thing upside down. He thought, that's it. So he said to one of his mechanics, he said, right, I want Kiwi number 4. So he thought. He said, what? I want no way. Kiwi 4. He says, why? He said, because I'm in New Zealand. He says, look, it's a flightless bird. Why are you flying a flightless bird? So it's the time, isn't it? So he said, fair enough, yeah, I'm not going to fly that anymore. Anyway, on the front there, that silver piece, that's where the actual fuel tank is. Which is a very dangerous place, isn't it? In front of the if the bullet and that piece that the actual the tank there, had about 8 to 9 gallons or so. That tank there. You do 5 miles per gallon, 5 miles an hour. So 5 miles per gallon. Here's that again, so that the actual polycomb, the actual fuels in the middle. So you come along the back, you can see the back. It's good time for that. So these were equipment around 19, so hopefully the products are all. The one before this one, that was good one. Before this one, it was used out in High Park in 1952 when the Korean War was on. and it was used for meteorological purposes. You could fly it, had the cameras and that, you could fly that. But what he didn't realise he was doing, he was doing clandestine operations into China. He would take photographs from China, which he shouldn't have been doing. He did that. So he was actually flying about 40 kilometers. The Russians, or the North Koreans had mid-flight at the time. They couldn't actually fly like that. So one day, it was a lovely day, and we decided to actually try the height record for the actual Spitfire. The Spitfire, the actual maximum ceiling was 14,000 feet above. The maximum speed was about just under 40 miles an hour. So we decided to go there, and went up, up, 40 Now, these are pressurised, right? We go on holiday, we've got an aircraft pressurised, we can go back and pressurised. I think 50,000 feet is pressurised water, not that. So all they can do is actually put stuff on the ground to go down. Well, the maximum speed of the actual Spitfire is only about that actually do it came down 600 miles an hour. So when he landed, I put the back in on it, going ahead back, and he moved them, so rather than the normal parallel to that, the road was different. Then it's okay. The airway engine on the Spitfire there, we actually use a carburetor. All the thing is a fraction down to the line. If you feel you don't want to put the natural, you stop the engine. So it's very dangerous. So we didn't have to sort of say, well, we went to carburetor, then the carburetor, the sample, and she won't take the special water. And that was Now that's Spitfire we just left. Sail at the end of the war for scrap. That's all over there. Went on sale for scrap at the end of the war. Guess how much for? £25. You got it? You've had before me. So a company called John Dale and called Scotland says we got for £25. Now he was a bit of an aircraft buff, and he looked at the logbooks and said, yeah, this one's flew in the back of Britain. That one there, flew in the back of Britain. Said, right, so we'll give it back to the museum. That's why we've got it now. Give it back to the museum. This one's here very, very special aircraft. It's here. It's got notice the black and white on it, and that was for actually Normandy, for the D-Day landings. Now, the reason why they painted black and white, because our Navy at the time, they'd shoot anything. So they shot with an aircraft in there, and they said, what should we do? They only had 40 hours to tell them they could do these D-Day landings, maybe. So what they did, got any brushes lined up, and they painted black and white, so they could see it. flying this one. This aircraft itself, it actually flew on the DEP, it's well the DEP landings. The DEP, it's called Operation Jubilee. Now Operation Jubilee was actually to actually find a way to enter Europe again. The easiest way so they could do it for normally the landers and that. Unfortunately, it went completely haywire. They used 237 ships to get all the people across from the UK over to Dieppe. They sent nearly 6,000 Canadians. Actually, 3,500 Canadian lads were killed alone on that thing. It was a complete disaster. There were 64 Spitfire pilots killed. It was just horrendous. So it didn't work very well. But this actually did for the soldiers, the actual aircraft. Isn't it? Then it also went into D-Day. Now, the most amazing story here is a lady called Margaret Horton. Now I'll tell you about Margaret. Okay. Now, Margaret, she was actually one of the actual technicians on the Spitfires during the war at Houghton, which is another submarine camp. It's not too far from there. And the idea was, if it was windy, right, because it's top heavy, you used to sit on the tailplane. So she saw this aircraft going up very, very slowly. Now, Neil Cox, who was a pilot, was a very, very experienced pilot. Okay. So she sat on the back, you see, because it was bouncing, so it was quite happy. So he drew up at the end of the runway light, pulled on the runway light, and opened everything up and took off. And she was on the back. Absolutely champs. So she wrapped herself, her stomach was actually around that part coming down there, okay. And she was holding on to these, she was holding on to it down, and she was doing that, and of course she was doing this. Now, when he took off, okay, because there were weights on the back, he took off, the aircraft just dropped back, put as much power as he could on just to get in there. Managed to get in there. And of course he contacted traffic control and said, the aircraft's playing about a bit. Of course, aircraft control going, I said, yes. Yeah, well, it'd be a good idea if you just did a nice gentle curve, nice gentle landing, and we'll see what's up with it. They didn't tell him, but there's a lady in the back there, poor Margaret Horton. So they took on a big circle, come round, came into land light, and as it landed, a hat flew off. So as soon as she slowed down enough, she jumped off and she got a hat. Then she went to the Salvation Army van, was there for a cup of tea. Us men would be sort of, not this woman, it's last year. She was there having a cup of tea. And anyway, so they sent an ambulance out to her. Sit down to start, what are you doing here? He said, come collect you, so what for? I said, what tea? But I'm alright, I'm having a cup of tea. Walk off. She said, what's that? I'm not telling you. Just go away. So anyway, that's what she did anyway. So Coxie got out of the aircraft, and Cox got out of the aircraft, he looked around it and he couldn't see anything over it. Stuff like that. Because she jumped off quite well before. And he thought, this is strange, I just couldn't make it out. So he walked up to air traffic control and said, look, I can't find anything wrong with the aircraft. He said, we won't do it. He says, it's come off. What's come off? He said, the problem's come off. I said, what problem? You had a passenger on the back. That's what you did. He said, you know, half the time, he said, I flew it, and half the time she flew it. Brave lass, very brave lass. I mean, we'd be straight to the pub, wouldn't we? No, she was having a cup of tea. And me and Margaret Horton, very true story, I said, yeah. Great, this gentleman flew this, his name was actually not Henry Cooper, what was his name? Tony Cooper. And he was an ace within 4 hours of the Second World War. Now, it was a bit difficult because in Bomber Command, okay, the actual Lancaster plant, the Lancaster crew, they got 10 VCs, okay, because they could see what was happening. And these lads were on their own. They couldn't see what was happening, so they only got one VC during the Battle of Britain. There was only one VC what I wrote to name Chaplain Jackson on 249 Squadron for his endeavour of actually to get himself out of a nasty situation. They got a VC for it. It's because it was recorded. The rest of the lads were not recorded until they put cameras on the aircraft. Any questions on this one? Okay. Pretty colours, isn't it? The next one's a pirate one. Simple. Jack Sparrow.
Well, it looks mean, doesn't it, in black?
Much bigger.
You said I'm not sure about this aircraft, about the pirates, okay? Because it flew in Cornwall. They're in Cornwall where the pirates are. Now, before I talk about this, let me just. Who eats carrots? Who likes carrots? You like carrots? Do you like carrots? Tell you a story about carrots. Very, very true story. Now then, during the Second World War, the start of the Second World War, these German aircraft were flying into the UK, flying over the English Channel, and they were getting picked up by one aircraft was picking up, and they couldn't believe it. Every time they come through a clear, there'd be an aircraft waiting for them, one aircraft waiting for them. So even at night time was an aircraft waiting, but they couldn't believe it. So they put the message about, the English press put a message about that we had a pilot. You could see at night, and they call it cat's eye coming because they ate carrots. The true story, they ate carrots. So what they did in Germany, right, they actually got all the carrots they could and fed the German pilots, but it made no difference. They couldn't believe this. And what it was start radar. It was the first time that radar, they used the radar. Of course they could pick up these aircraft, see. And he was there waiting for them, he just couldn't believe it. It was foggy, he'd be there waiting for them. It was cloudy, it was and cloud and everything was waiting for them. Anyway, this black so this was actually 247 Squadron down in Cornwall, which was fixed. They actually a Mark 1 Hurricane. On the top there, you can see the actual, see the mirror on the top, okay? Well, you know what the Air Force is about. Nothing to do, okay, because you couldn't see what was behind you, okay? So, it's funny how this happened, this is true story. Yeah, a chap had an MG car, an MG whatever it was anyway, and he had this mirror on it, and he said to one of the pilots, he said to one of the actual airframe lads, he said, he took off his car and he said, stick it on me Spitfire, on my Hurricane, sorry, stick it on my Hurricane. He said, what for? He said, well, I can't see what's coming behind me. And that's what they did, that was started. So ever since then, it's nothing to have a look at makeup or nothing. So I say this was actually based down at 247, based down at Cornwall. And what's happened during the day, okay, the Germans were finding that they were getting shot more aircraft, getting shot down during the day over the UK. So they decided to do night flying, okay. It was more effective, but of course, we actually decided to paint this aircraft black, okay, and that's what he was up for night flying. It was a bit of a dodgy job. There's more people killed in the first sort of few weeks until they realised what they're doing on the Hurricanes when they planed them back. But when they got to go, it's great. Now this aircraft was also called 247, a British China Squadron. The reason being because in China they wanted to, the British people in China at the time put some money together to keep the squadron going. So, the chap who flew this, his name was Ken Mackenzie, this aircraft, and he was an experienced pilot, and he went alongside, well, they were shooting down a German Messerschmitt fighter, and they ran out of bullets, ran out of these. Ran out of them. Okay, so what he decided to do is go alongside the aircraft and hit that wing, with his actual wings, hit that, knocked that off, and the aircraft went straight into drink. So he got a DFC for that, because somebody saw him do it. Anyway, he was actually halfway through the war, he was asked to go and fight in Brittany. He went over and he was shot down, and he was captured by the Germans, as usual. He was sent to a prisoner of war camp, and he hated it there, so he helped to dig tunnels to try and get out. Unfortunately, that didn't work, so he thought, oh, what I'll do, I'll actually, I shall make myself his own man-like, which a lunatic. So what he decided to do was get a stutter and actually walk about looking at bits of paper, and they were saying, what are you looking for? looking for a way to get back to England, saying this, and he thought he'd completely lost it. So they sent him back to the UK. Unfortunately, they've lost his stutter. What a shame. His name was Ken Mackenzie.
What a shame.
Really, really brave chap. They all brave lads. When you think the average age was about 21, 22. Scary, isn't it? Right, let's take it to the next one. Any questions on this one, Tom? No?
Must be a desert one.
You must have done.
Yeah, we brought it from Wales.
Yeah.
Just come up here.
So,
It's a pretty one, isn't it?
yeah.
Yourself that. And the base as well. If you don't fly right and right, seriously. So anyway, very special one this is. Now, 92 Squadron, they'd actually lost 3 COs, they'll be squadron leaders, okay, in 92 Squadron in a month. And they didn't know what to do, so they got a chap from the from 303 Squadron who was an experienced pilot, and actually he took charge, and he was quite a disciplinarian, was Johnny Kent, and he got them back to some sort of an odyssey, and they sent them out to North Africa, hence the colour of this. So it's a desert colours, that's in desert colours, okay. See, it's got 4 blades on it, so it's a Mark 9 Spitfire. It is the actual, it's got a bigger, so more powerful round range on it, and on the actual, on these on the side of it, these actually exhaust, okay, they used to glow, so they put things that so the Germans couldn't see it at night. Okay. So this aircraft, believe it or not, it went over to it was out fluids in the Middle East, out in North Africa. Now, the lads out there hated it because they're all snakes and scorpions and spiders. And they had to sleep on canvas beds. But the worst part was the sand everywhere, you know. That's why they call it sandwiches. Sand everywhere, seriously, sand. So what they had on this aircraft originally, they had what they call a Volks filter, massive big thing at front, and it slowed the aircraft down. So they got rid of it, and this lass again, she developed this special carburetor, same lass, to actually they could leave that put the special filter on the carburetor to stop the sand going. So that was just, and the chap that flew it, his name was Neville Duke. Now Neville Duke, he was actually quite a character, Neville Duke. They asked him to go out to join 92 Squadron, and he was 19 at the time, just come for 19, and he went out there to North Africa. He said in 1 month he'd been to 17 different airfields, because what's happening, they're advancing, retreating, aircraft, airfields are going forwards, so 17 different airfields they've been to. So anyway, Jeff Duke, he actually got one of these, and he set about the Germans, and he was the highest scoring ace in the Mediterranean, was Neville Duke. Not only that, at the end of the war, he got a job with hello Lou, you got lost, kid?
Lou's watching the bank, I just want to show this photo. You're not going to be in your way, am I, from here?
No, not at all. You've never in my way, kid.
Oh, I can get in your way, don't worry.
Yeah. So anyway, saying Neville Duke was actually he was a top ace in the desert. Okay. The Mark 9 itself was a great aircraft, because at the time the Germans updated all the aircraft, so a lot quicker, than the actual than our Spitfire Mark V. So they brought this one out, much better aircraft, and it shot down more German aircraft. Okay. Now when Neville Duke got back to UK, he just turned 22. He was only supposed to go up for 6 weeks. He ended up there for 3 years. That was Air Force for you. Now I was out in the desert, and I tell you, it's not funny. You do get snakes. And one morning I got up, and I did this for years. Okay, I shook my shoe, and the scorpion came out of it. Yeah, honestly, scorpion came.
I did it on holiday. In Florida.
Were you in Cyprus?
No, Florida.
Florida.
Yeah, I always check my shoes.
Yeah, I did for years. After I used to shake my shoes. Yeah, I thought it was going to get me. Okay. Any questions on the? Okay. I'll tell you about this photograph when you go because it's so important. So I'll wait till. So this the hangar itself. Okay, it's 2 hangars in one. Actually, what happened is because we decided to get more aircraft in it. Sorry, more aircraft in here. We decided to extend it, so we got actually 2 hangars. One boat to the next one. Hence, we can get all the aircraft in there. A lady asked me why we don't have a mosquito here. Okay, we just can't afford one. Just can't afford one. It costs millions. You know. When you think that aircraft itself is worth about 6 million. Okay. And you can get these. Okay. There's probably about 80 of these left in the world.
And they're still all airworthy, and they're still
all these are airworthy. That's right. Yeah. That's the point as well. Okay, just before this finished. Okay, we have two different seasons here. Okay, during the winter this is a static display. During the summer it's a flying memorial. So during the winter it's a static memorial, and during the summer it's a flying memorial. So if you phone up our bosses like and say, look, I've got a special birthday, so 21st birthday coming up. I've got my 21st birthday coming up. Are you flying over? We'll fly over.
Wow.
As long as we're near, that's right now. The only thing is, okay, because these aircraft are actually so precious, okay, we have to be careful on the actual amount of time we have them flying. So say you live down the south coast of England, right, we'd actually base aircraft down at Eastleigh, near Southampton, or at an airport just outside Bournemouth, and we'd actually do it from there, see, rather than come back to the force here, because you waste the time. Okay, I'll just show you this one here because this is quite an amazing story. This thing's in prospect.
Wow,
This
shut up and
photograph here.
landed. Wow.
It's fine, I'll just come on. It's the one at the top, okay, the most important one. If you can come down, folks, and have a look. It's a very important, this one is. Now, see the state of the aircraft itself, okay? These lads have just come back from Germany on the raid over there. Two of their colleagues' aircraft have been shot down. One of the aircraft exploded in front of me just over to land, and look at the state of the aircraft. They just got out of the aircraft, and guess who comes? The paparazzi, the press, asking them how they got on the raid. You can imagine these lads, 19, 20, 21, 22. I mean, how do you think they felt? I mean, the press at times, I better not say too much because I might be on camera. But so anyway, the press interviewed them. I mean, what can they say? We've had a good flight. What can they say? Nothing. Right, let's move down a bit, shall we? So, first one's the old-fashioned Merlin engine, right? The very first one's it, right? And this one here is one of the engines from the PR, one over there. On the back here, this bit down here, right down the bottom there, that's to pressurise the cockpit down the bottom there. I know it's got two propellers here, and they use these on the Sheffield aircraft. Now what they do is they just take one propeller off and use them on our PR-19s there. Behind me, this one here, we'll go outside in a second. Is there anybody in the ATC at all? Air training corps? Put it there. Nice to meet you. So what you do in the air training corps?
Air training corps?
Yeah.
What did I do?
Yeah.
Flying on wings, chipmunks.
Brilliant. There you are. Tell your story about a chipmunk, okay? These are special now. For the actual, for our pilots to train on the actual, on what we call tail draggers, this is a tail dragger, they use this aircraft because they'll come off the Typhoons, which got tricycle and carriage, they're nice and flat, but when they're taking legs off it, you're going down the runway, you can't see where you're going, can you? Because the nose in front of you, so they teach them how to, so they'll put the actual training pilot at the back there. He's not a training pilot, he's a training pilot as far as you go, and that's what they teach him. Now on the Lancaster it's a bit different, because you use one of these. These here, use the Dakota, because the Dakota is a multi-engine, it's 2 engines, they call it multi-engine, okay. So they use that to actually train the pilots for the actual, for the Lancaster. Now, well, the technicians here, we've got three types of technicians here. We've got the chaps that do the airframes, the chaps that do the propulsion engine, and we've also got avionics. Now you never think these aircraft are avionics, but they need it to do the civil aviation authority, because they're actually flying amongst civilian aircraft. So they need that to, no matter where they go. They've got what are called transponders on them, so they send a signal all the time, so they notice that where they are. Now this one here is a very unusual aircraft, because during the actual the war in the outbreak of the war in Cyprus in 1958, they used this for taking clandestine photographs. So they had the photographer in the back, the pilot used to go around and take photographs of the actual encounters. And it's not the end of it, because during the Cold War in Berlin, where they actually had different sectors, they were allowed to actually use an aircraft to go what they call the central sector, which was actually it was 10,000 foot high and 20 miles round. So anybody that was actually had a pilot's license that hadn't a chance to actually fly an aircraft were able to go up and down that, so they used this aircraft for that. Now one day when they were going up, the pilot looked up over the Russian side and said, saw this sort of equipment on the deck. So what they do, and they're actually putting three new airfields in that they haven't told NATO what they're doing. So he didn't tell anybody they do it, so they shouldn't do it. So what they did, they put one of our photographic chaps in the back, and they were up there backwards and backwards taking photographs. They thought, well, if you can do it, we can do it as well. So that's what they did. So very brave aircraft. Went to the end, finished up at before it came in, we finished up at Church Fenton for the air training corps. Yeah. So they started out originally, the aircraft itself started to train people in the air training corps. The first flight I had one of these, I was 13-year-old now, this will make you laugh, okay. I get out to the aircraft, I had this parachute tracker, it was only 13 at the time, at the back. So he gets in the thing, and the pilot says, turned around, he says, hey, sat on the back of the jet, he was a Canadian chap. He said, you sat there so hard. He said, not a problem, he says, if you get in trouble, he said, we'll go up so far, took upside down, and just fall out. How's that? Thanks for watching. It was brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay, let's go inside. It's nice out here, isn't it?
Mm.
You bring the sunshine with you?
Yeah, we come from Wales, so.
Oh, you're from Wales?
Yeah. We're live in Barry.
In Barry? Oh,
Barry Island, yeah.
Barry? Oh, okay. You're not too far from St. Latins, are you?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see a lot of the planes over there, so.
I've been there.
And you've got the same surname as us as well. We're Johnson.
Yeah,
we're Johnson as well.
Good. So we'll go right to the end because
yeah.
See the side there.
We've just been to see the other one down the road.
Oh yeah. This is the only flying route.
The other one taxis, don't it? That's the point.
There is in Canada. There's a lot of problems at the moment with that, so it's not flying. So this is one of 7,000 Lancasters built during the Second World War. Well, not quite, because this was built 3 weeks at the end of the Second World War, so it never actually flew in the Second World War. But because of such an iconic aircraft, we had to have it, you know. So it's the only flying one at the moment. There's actually one in Canada, it's called Vera. Unfortunately, that's problems, okay. They have a lot of problems there, technical problems on board, and they've had to actually stop it from flying. So going back to the start of the actual, how the Lancaster started, okay, a chap called Roy Chadwick, who designed the Lancaster, he designed an aircraft before that, was called the Manchester. It was just 2 engines, I believe, okay. It was used a Rolls-Royce engine on board. I forget what it's called now. Anyway, the engine itself had a lot of problems with it, and the pilots hated flying it. So what Roy Chadwick decided to do is to put 4 Marlin engines in. They've got a mighty Now, 12 years later, I believe it or not, the same chap, Roy Chadwick, in between that time, he designed the actual Vulcan. The same chap designed the Vulcan. Now, you notice it's got lead on this side. This is in 2 colours. On this side, it's lead. It donates actual an Australian squadron, 406 squadron from RAF Coningsby. We named the pilot was actually Australian pilot, and Bateman, his name was Ted Bateman. And working from the front and backwards, yeah, let me tell you the other side. Okay, on the other side, it's got a City of Lincoln crest, and that will always be on the aircraft, no matter what they paint it. Okay. It's also the other side belonged to 50 Squadron. Dougie Millicent, who was actually his grandson was one of the bosses here, and so they put that on the other side. So start from the front back. Before we go back, before we tell you about the coach now, we've actually got a kangaroo playing the bagpipes with a pair of wellies. Now, what do you reckon? Where's the kangaroo from? Why is the kangaroo there? Australian? So Australian crew, okay. What about the bagpipes? Scottish crew. What about the wellies?
Where?
Wales.
Thanks.
Yeah, the Welsh crew, that's right. And that's to donate that. We had all sorts of crews on the aircraft. Okay. It's unusual as well because the pilots, just wait for the chap in the ATC, okay. The pilot, the chap here, in the ATC, the pilot could be a sergeant, a flight sergeant. The rear gunner could be a flight lieutenant. But the sergeant, that's why they call him skipper. The only kind of skipper involved with it. The reason why is because as soon as the flight sergeant pilot got on board, he was in charge. It don't matter what rank you were, he was in charge. Okay, what you say, bro? So starting from the front of the aircraft, the very front of the aircraft, you can see the guns up. That's where the front gunner, and he was a bomber. He had 2 jobs, that lad. He had 2 jobs. Okay. On the port side nearest us would be the pilot. Next to the pilot would be the flight engineer. The flight engineer was actually trained up to fly an aircraft in emergency, because I mean the ones we got now, it's got two controls, so have 2 pilots, and that's to do with the new rules and regulations for flying. But anyway, on the so we've got the actual flight engineer that side. Just behind them is the actual navigator. Opposite him is a wireless operator. We're going down a bit, you can't really see it as the mid-upper gunner, and at the back, of course, you've got the rear gunner. Now, we actually call this an inside TARDIS, because the TARDIS, okay, you went through a tiny door, it's massive inside, opposite way around. You go through a massive aircraft, you go inside, it's tiny inside. Okay. Now, for the actual rear gunner, show us. Nicholas Archimedes. That's what he had to wear to get in the back. Okay. Now don't forget, he's a big lad anyway for a start. So what he had to do is he had to stash his parachute at the side of the aircraft, on the starboard side, that side of the aircraft. And so if he had to jump out, just click it and jump out. So he was flying an aircraft there, the code name is called Werewolf, out to Berlin. they dropped the bombs. As they were coming back, they were actually shot at by a night fighter, German night fighter, set the aircraft on fire, and the actual pilot told them to bail out. He opened the back of the actual the bomb in his bed and sliding door to get his parachute. It was on fire. The same, it was that hot. It burnt his face, masked his face. So he shut the doors quick and he sat down. So he had a choice either to stay with the aircraft or actually and burn to death and jump out.
Yeah.
He was flying at 18,000, 3.5 miles. He's flying at 18,000 feet. So he thought, right, I'm just going to have to go for it. So I'll be dead in 2 minutes. If I jump, if I don't, I could be burnt to death. It could take a while. So he just jumped in, no parachute, straight in. He said that all he remembered then, seeing stars through his feet, so he was going to head down, head first down.
Yeah.
He's done 120 miles an hour, right? 3 hours later he woke up in a snowdrift from 3.5 miles. He woke up in snow, absolute true story.
Oh, look at
It's
that.
all comedians. Now, when he woke up, he found out his knee, all he'd done his knee, the other damage was an aircraft itself. He had perspex in his face from the rear place of the story. So anyway, he was struggling because he'd done his knee as well, so he couldn't walk. So he got his whistle out and he blew his whistle, and one of the German, like a home guard, captured him, took him to the Gestapo, and the Gestapo said, "I'm going to shoot you because you're spy." He said, "No, damn right." He said, "Where's your parachute?" He said, "I got one, I just jumped out." He said, "Don't believe it." So they're going to shoot him. Anyway, fortunately, a German Luftwaffe pilot was there. And he said, "Just like before you shoot him, let's have a look at this one." And they found the crash of the aircraft. And they found the parachute still in the aircraft. Burnt out actually, but still all the metal bits left. And they said, "Oh yeah, you did." So they give him, the Germans give him a certificate to say he jumped out from an aircraft 18,000 feet and he survived.
Amazing.
On the actual dance raid, they used one of these aircraft. Underneath, they took the bomb bay doors off and they put calipers in there to hold the bomb. But it wasn't a bomb. They called it bouncer bomb, but it was a depth charge. So they used that underneath to hold the bomb.
Never wait.
You might see him coming to land, huh?
What just went round one?
I tell you, you've come to a good time to come to it, didn't you? I'm not
Yeah.
going to charge any extra for this, but I'm not Scottish, but
Yeah.
Oh, it's coming into land.
an amazing aircraft.
Beautiful.
Do you know they've got 132 computers on board these aircraft?
Wow.
132. I can't even walk one.
The other one should be behind
That's
that.
the two that flew past together.
Yeah.
He's coming around the second
That's the
time.
third one. There. One just landed. There's the
Oh,
other one.
yeah.
There's the second one. See, there's the third
Yeah.
one there.
Smooth.
Well, you look at something that's worth £100 million a piece. So I'm going to buy 6 next week. So you buy some big like choice. So when you start sending it, send the bag like this. Anyway,
Yeah, it's true.
let me just tell you about the tornado while we're here, okay? We've got a special job here, it's on the QRA. There's my mate. Carlos, you alright? We're going to ask you questions about the... Carlos has actually just come from the typhoons, haven't you?
Oh, aborted.
How many computers? How many computers in the typhoon?
138 computers. 138.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, it's kind of cool. Now we've got what we call QLA here, quick reaction all that. Okay, now we need that because any aircraft that's, as I said before, aircraft have the transponders on it. If they don't use the transponders right, they get an aircraft coming in, we pick it up. We're not sure who they are. So they're scrambling up the aircraft, so you're all bombed up, ready to go within seconds. How long does it take them to get off here?
You could be over London in 15 minutes of the call.
Yeah, 15 minutes. Now, about 4 or 5 years back, we had, I don't know if you had that incident we had up in Manchester. Okay, what happened at Manchester? Okay, I was at Scandal at the time, and we got an alert up there that this aircraft was going to Manchester. No call signs or anything. So they scrambled a couple of lads here, the aircraft from Coningsby, to meet up with them. If they scramble from here, they're allowed to go supersonic. If they base your picture window hardlines, they're there to save your life. Okay. The people worry about the picture window, but tomatoes like that. Straight up there, two of them went, and they actually let the aircraft land up there, which is unusual, because usually send it down to, down outside London, that's a holding place for the...
Oh, Norfolk.
No, the Stansted, okay. Yeah, they're off now. You're lucky. How much do you charge for this, Carlos? How much do we charge for this airshot? Thousands. So, as I said, so that's the job we do. So, if you get any, the worst thing is, I'll tell you what, these are peelers, the Vulcans, seriously. We used to have Vulcans taken off 47. 6 of them just taken off. Can you imagine that? That's why I can't hear. That's when Carlos says, it's your turn for a parent, I go, can't hear. We had a Families Day here last Friday. It was fantastic. It's one of the best air shows I've seen for a long time. And it was a great day, wasn't it? Can you remember much about it, Carlos?
What, the air show?
Yeah.
It was good.
No, but I'm talking about night time.
About what?
About night time.
Well, yeah, that was good. We had a barbecue afterwards, didn't we?
Barbecue afterwards, that's right, yeah. I had to go home there, didn't I? Anyway, never mind. So there was over 7,000 life vessels built, okay, and actually we lost nearly half of them during the actual conflict. I'll show you the bombs used to take. This way, okay? Right.
Are they going back here?
It's going to start any second now.
We are
Of course you can. Of course you can. Hang on. Just a minute, I'll set my watch.
No, there you go.
Got it?
They're all hypnotised. They're all hypnotised.
Yeah, Mark.
All the aircraft during the Second World War to actually be able to take this in the bomb bay was actually Lancaster. The Bunsen bomb was actually designed and invented by Lance Wallace, so these two massive bombs here. These cost more than, both of them cost more than Lancaster. The Lancaster cost about £75,000 during the Second World War. These actually cost more. Now what I believe is if you didn't drop them, they asked you to bring them back. But when you think the average age of the lads at Lancaster is 142, you can imagine bringing one of these things back. So a lot of them used to just let them drop in the sea, because land would be so good, especially that one you had to sling it under the air. Let's see, that was for the Torpex from here to there. For the Torpex. The Torpex was actually the most lethal explosive until we got on the bomber. They used it on torpedoes. So it was full of Sheffield steel with the actual Torpex in there. This was hollow. Now Baz Wallace, we're not really sure the story. Baz Wallace was in a pub one night and saw somebody playing darts, and he could see the next course, we wanted this to come very straight, so that's what he sees in the back, he's facing the back. So we put these on. Your center side sort of spins, but it spins straight down. So the beauty about it is, the final time it goes straight down, then we sort of go for it. Now when that's 5 times before to sink the top, we tried different things on. The Germans don't get to so the Germans did, they moved the Turkish into a field in Norway, into very shallow water. So they sank it because they used the guns. But the Air Force got a look on this because that's the Turkish. So the first one went down and it exploded on the side. The 6 minutes said, see, go for you. Carlos, I'll see you in a fortnight. Fortnight, okay? Yeah, cheers, man. Cheers. So the idea said the Torpex, the first one went down, it hit the side of the Torpex and got bounced off or something. And it was like, it started doing this. And the second one turned it over. So the could was the guns. That's what that did. Now, Harry Scampton could be at where the Lancaster there, Brad was underneath it. So they said, we want Lancaster for Hendon, so we said, so we'll have to do this. So they sent a chap from the transport place with a crane, a 5-ton crane. They started lifting it from the back end, started doing this. something wrong here. Should go away 2 times, try it again. The back end was good. We found it's still full of topics. It's been under this. Scampton Gates has been under this slack house for about 19 years. That's how it is. So that was called the toy boy. The next one, this is what they call an iron bomb. The more modern one of these, they used that in the Falklands War, but this was the one they used in the Second War. These are £500, they used the £1,000 ones down at Falklands. Very similar to these, just an iron bomb. This one here, the big one.
How many would it carry?
So
How many would the count just in
of course,
the big ones?
Oh yeah,
The big ones what?
yeah.
What about the small ones?
Small one, we could probably use it probably a bit more. Yeah, there again, very similar to the actual tow boy. Can't slap the pin out. They had problem actually, one of the biggest problems during the Second World War was actually destroying bridges, because they could drop a bomb on the bridge but put it slightly out and miss it. And let's face it, the equipment used in the Second World War, it was still pretty primitive, so they couldn't actually do it. So what they decided to do, Baz Wallace built this and he said, right, what we want, we'll offset these, so it spun it a bit, so it went about 15 to 20 foot underground and it exploded. It's like an earthquake, and that's what lodged all the foundations of the bridges fell down. So that's what happened. Now there again, when you think of the lads on the Lancaster, average age 22, you've got one of these underneath and want to fly back with that if you don't. What are you going to do? It's going to fall in the sea somewhere, isn't it? That fell off, sorry, it fell off. You know, I mean, let's face it, we do, I wouldn't risk it, would you? No way. Any more questions, by the way? Okay. Right, anyway, thanks for coming to see us today, and my name's Peter. I've done a good job. It's fair if I've done a bad job. And I'd love to see you all, okay? And come back and see us again, okay? Thanks again.
Right.